and it's recording. So welcome to CBOR Interim, the last before IETF 108. The agenda is, okay, Jim already has posted it, the CodeMD link. And the first item on the agenda is the erratas for 7049. So just making sure, going through the list and making sure that we have addressed all of them. So, see, I don't know if someone wants to take.
Okay, so I went ahead and listed all of the errata in the minutes. So the big ones I'm looking at are the three canonical rules ones. We made the changes that we made most of the changes that they suggest, but technically we did that because we did a BIS document, not because there was an errata on the old document. Should we tell Barry to just say close as won't fixed with a comment that it actually was fixed in the BIS?
Yeah, I went through all these errata and checked whether we had to make an issue and made an issue and so on. But I just didn't think about disposing of the errata reports at the same point in time. So sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine.
So yeah, but this essentially means you have to do the work again. So that's not so fine.
So does anybody object to saying that we tell Barry on those three that we say close them as won't fix, but put a description on that says they actually are fixed in the BIS document?
Yeah, the question is this a hold for document update thing? I think in many cases these errata actually were rather you have made a different version.
Right, that's what the canonicalization rules are.
So I think we are still rejecting these, even though the notes could say that this is addressed in the BIS document. I don't think there is a won't fix. I think we have hold for document update and we have reject.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's reject. So I think that does make sense for those three. 5434, as near as I can tell, you just removed that example. So I think the correct answer is hold for document update.
Yes.
The same thing would be true with 5763.
Don't have them in front of me. I have to get another browser window open here.
What did I say, 5673?
Does that exist?
It's 5763.
5763.
Yes.
I had the right set of numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm confused. In which order are these?
It's the one that says a tag always applies to the item that is directly followed by it, and
Yes.
a tag always applies to the item that directly follows it.
Yeah, that's definitely valid, and it's hold for document update.
Right, and in point of fact, the text now says a tag applies semantics to the to what it applies to.
The tag applies to what it applies to. That's probably true.
I don't remember what the exact text was anymore.
I think we made a
We rewrote the
significant
sentence.
change there. The tag applies semantics to the data item it encloses.
Yes. So, and I think that's probably better than the text that was there originally anyway.
Yeah, but the report is verified and the disposition is hold for document update.
Right. Okay. So I think that's all of the erratas. I can send a piece of mail to Barry.
Sounds good. Great. So next item was the CBOR tag for date status. Mike.
Sure. I created the next draft, which is intended to incorporate resolutions to the comments from Jim, Michael Richardson, and yours, Francesca. I didn't use text, but I took some inspiration from it. And as you've seen on the list, I asked Barry to get it posted. I'd quite frankly lost track of the fact that we were even going to have a blackout period given everything's virtual. But that should be up shortly. Among other things, Francesca removes the comma from the number and it removes the RFC 2119 language because you're right, that used none of the keywords.
Yeah, that was just an ID knit.
Sure, I've never written an RFC draft that didn't use any, but realizing this is just making declarations, there's no protocol, I guess it made sense. I searched, the document to see were there any uses of may or should that should have been uppercase, and there weren't, so took it out.
Yeah, I don't know if you have seen this. I made two more minor comments. One is that you could actually supply the strings and numbers for the John Lennon example. And the other one is that the augmented date that you are talking about actually is a date time and probably should be called that way. With that, I think we're done.
I agree with the date time thing. Your date.parse, I don't know what programming language that's in.
No, that's just, I just copied the calculation that I did over from my terminal window. So the interesting things are the string 1940 dash something, and the numbers is 10,000 something. Don't use the rest of the text. The programming language is Ruby, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, I could add those example values.
And I think it will be really useful for people to check that they are doing the right thing.
Yeah, I agree. I'd be glad to do that. I want to let you get this one posted, but then I'll do that again.
Okay, but
Thanks all for paying attention.
yes. So the Shepherd review is ready. I just need to send you a confirmation of IPR declaration, etc. But the rest is done. I was just waiting on the next version because that's it's gonna do some updates. But I will post it now and then I will update it later when new version comes. But we're still waiting. So then you need to still do some modification to add this example that Carsten was talking about.
Yeah, I can do that this week.
Okay, because I need to have that version before we can push the button.
Right.
So
Okay.
So Barry, of course, doesn't want you to push the button because he's already drowned in drafts review, including
no, but
7040.
he just sent an email saying that he will he asked, or he will ask, I don't know, the secretariat to post the draft.
Yeah, he said he's doing that.
Okay.
But now we have one more modification, if I understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm fine with, I don't know, like I'm fine with waiting until next in Monday in 2 weeks or 10 days
Yep.
when it reopens. But yeah,
Yeah,
I will
we
just
can
wait
do
for the
it.
next version and then send it.
Okay, but you can post the Shepherd review and send me the IPF.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will
Okay.
do that in the meantime.
All right, thank you.
No problems. Okay,
Anything else?
I think that was it. And the next item is the CBOR draft. So
Actually,
Jim made a review.
I'm going to
Oh,
go because I have to get ready for an external appointment. So thank you for doing this
thank you, Mike.
early in the call. Talk to you.
Bye bye. So the CBOR draft, Jim did the review already, and Karsten has, I don't know if you have completely addressed it in this pull request. But
Well,
what's the status?
I have. Did I reply to Jim? I'm trying to remember.
I think so.
And so there are things that we still can discuss, I think, but I also think I have mostly addressed it. So this happened before I pushed 07. Do I remember that correctly?
No, I think the review was on 07. Jim's review was on like super quickly on version 7.
Okay, so in that case, I have to push a -08.
Yes.
I didn't realize that because it's already on GitHub, and I could have pushed that on Monday, and I just didn't realize that. Sorry.
Yeah. No. So, but so just, I guess it would be good to know if you believe the request addresses all of Jim's comments, if you can remember.
Well, substantially so.
Okay.
Again, I think we can still improve, but we also can improve this while this is a working group document.
Yeah.
I think that the only things that were not addressed were, do we want to have any control operators to compute relative addresses? And do we want to try to figure out how to apply things recursively? I'm perfectly willing not to do the recursive thing.
Yeah, I think that's a discussion we needed to have, but I think it's not we can adopt this if this happens, and we cannot adopt this if something else happens kind of decision.
Oh, definitely not.
So I guess now it's a good time to start, or to for next version. I guess we can do a call for adoption.
You
Or
can do
do
it
we
for
need?
this.
Okay. Sure. I guess we can start a call for adoption. I don't know if because this is already a charter item, so I don't know if we can make it faster, or they just go the 2 weeks and.
Well, I believe that adoption calls should be 1 week.
Uh-huh.
That has at least been
I've
my.
always done 2 weeks, but
Yeah, and I thought this always was a little bit too long. Because if somebody doesn't react, they can still fix it in the working group. So it's not like we need 2 weeks to do a detailed review and all that. For 2418 is no help here at all.
Okay. So I think we can start this. Jim, what do you say?
Yeah, I don't see any problems not starting with that.
If people already in the call are willing to support, that would be good.
Willing and able.
Great. As we said, we should poll interest in the calls as well, since we can do that.
So Henk, can you do a 2-sentence statement about where you need this?
Yes. So of course, again, requirements swap over from RETs and stuff. This is about reference integrity measurements. Some of these actually use semantics, although there are other things outside the IETF, to take a step back, that is they're using certificates for reference integrity measurements. There already there are defined a lot of semantics, and referencing them in a meaningful manner, which even means to decompose them down to the value and use the value here in for example, CoSWID or other concise representation using CBOR is super helpful. It makes interoperability, yeah, like how it should be, and therefore there is a very driven and current requirements, you could say, or need for a OIT representation in CBOR via tags that would be making the life for a lot of machines and can do a lot of errors and failures a lot of easier, I think.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so then I think we can move to the next agenda item. That is the Cdl module design continued, and the Cdl module sockets and features inspired by Carsten's emails in the mailing list. Do we want to continue this discussion today, Carsten, or?
Well, it depends on whether people have an opinion on that yet. I mean, it's pretty heavy material, and one has to think a little bit about in which direction we want to go here. But if people have an opinion, that would be good to hear.
Karsten, I'd like to get a
Yep.
bit of clarification because I'm not positive I understood things. So
Okay.
I understand we're basically talking about two types of names, rule names and don't necessarily have semantic meaning. So what you're talking about is saying we would is basically saying something along the lines of these are the things we suggest that you use. And another question is whether or not you want to be able to say to export things which don't have semantic meaning but have some sort of numeric meaning. Yes, no.
The observation behind this maybe a little bit opaque mail was that if we have something that defines the external interface of a module, that might actually also be the place where we describe how the semantic layer fit to that. So that is, of course, an assumption that I didn't make explicit, so I apologize for that. But CDDA right now doesn't give you a way to link rule names or keys and group entries to, for instance, RDF names, RDF URIs, which would be needed to link it to some ontologies out there. And what I'm proposing is to think about the issue how we are going to do that. I don't have an answer to the question here. I only have the question.
Okay, I think that gives me a bit more context.
So, for instance, if you look at the end of the name, there is this label bleu, which is used in two different contexts, one talking about stakes and one talking about colors. And we probably need a way, if we map this to some external concept, then we need a way to actually identify this. So rule names are unique, that's easy, but those label names may be used in different places with different semantics. And we probably have to do something to reach in there. So this is a little bit like enums are handled in many programming languages, where the enums have names, but you also can anchor the enum name in a type name, so you get a fully qualified name for the enum. And something like this we need here.
Because Carson, everyone in their structure wants to have an e-name called error.
For instance, yes.
Yeah.
It's a very good example. Yes, and sometimes you, with error, that's actually the perfect example, because you're writing a specification and you are aware that you have a early consumer and you are basically catering requirements coming from there. And you are aware that some of the keys or labels will be used there also. So this disambiguation you can do with some foresight, of course, but not always. And that is the point.
Yeah, the particular comes up if you have a specification that defines colors for stakes or cooking points for stakes, and then you need to reference a specification that defines colors, and suddenly you have this well, it's not really a name conflict, but you have two uses for the same name, and so there needs to be a way to actually anchor that name into a specific context.
Exactly.
So I think that's a bit of a weakness of our original CDDL design, but since we didn't define external interfaces, we didn't address it.
Yeah, we did a specific implicit cut there with the design. That's true.
So at this point, basically, we need to have people read it and digest it and start coming back with questions, comments, suggestions.
Yes, and of course we could further facilitate that by actually coming up with solution proposals, so it's easier to see what the opaque words in this email actually mean. But we probably need a couple of months to come up with a solution proposal. So if you can generate some guidance now, in particular by thinking about specifications you have and how we would handle that there, that would be very useful.
Any way that we can ping people that would have an opinion from other working groups? Advertise this, or reach out.
Yeah, actually, we might have a early customer that we already talked to, and that is the suit working group. Maybe we can make them interested again. Spend some time after now there's cut off, and now, but later on, of course. So I think there is the requirements are coming from there also, and maybe we can make them read this again.
Yeah, that would be great to have them participate in this discussion.
Sure.
Yeah, so there are some 50 RFCs and internet drafts that reference CDDL. I'm not sure all of these have useful examples here, but going through those, we might be able to identify further groups.
That's actually something that we did when we prepare, if you remember, the questionnaire work.
Yes.
And
But that
we
was on
could
a high
go.
level.
Yes, that was on a high level. Yes.
And we could now go to them with a specific question. And again, I'd prefer to do this based on some prototype, some strawman designs, and then hear from people how this design would fit with what they are doing.
Yeah. No, what I meant is that we already had identified several people who were using. I mean, that list probably has changed a little bit, but it could be a good starting point.
Might be good to start again. But that's true.
Okay. Then the next item on the agenda is 108 scheduling. So we need to post a draft agenda today. So right now we have a couple of items. So I think I wrote down everything that people asked to either talk about or present. So right now we have the Cdl updates. Carsten, I think you asked for presentation time for Draft Born and CBOR Pact.
Yes.
That
would be nice if everybody had read this.
Yes. I mean, if it's on the agenda, then everybody will have read.
Of course.
Then for the date tag document, maybe we don't need to discuss it since, yeah, maybe we can just give a short status update. The chairs can do that, and I'm not sure that we need to actually talk about it.
If we push the button, I don't think we need to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Except if we already have feedback.
Yes, which I doubt.
Me too.
Maybe we can have it in the agenda just as a placeholder, and then we see if we just give a 2-minute status update or something like that. And then I put in the OID document. Again, do we need to talk about? I mean, if you have an update, Karsten, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely will have an update on Sunday, July 26th. So depending on how the adoption call goes, we might be discussing IETF CBOR tag 00.
So yeah,
That's
we
another
hope
reason why
to
I
get.
like 1 week.
If we get feedback, we should definitely talk about it. Yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, if you have answered Jim's review, but I don't know if you want to talk about something else otherwise.
Well,
I
it would
mean,
be nice to get more
improvements or
reviews.
yeah, and that the chairs can do that without necessarily taking too much time. But if you already have like issues that you'd like to discuss in the working group, that would take more time because we only have 50 minutes, so we have to be smart with the time management. But yeah, we can keep some time anyway, like let's say 5-10 minutes, depending on what's the status.
Yeah.
Karsten, have you heard anything from Sean?
No.
Okay.
I still have to address him personally. I didn't do that yet.
Okay. Anything more that we want to add to the agenda?
Well, at some point we probably should decide what the course of action for the notable tags document is. So I'm not sure we have to decide it in this meeting, but
Okay.
I think we should come up with a plan.
And Carsten, how much time do you want for the pact document? CBOR Pact.
Well, that depends a lot on what questions people have. So this document has been discussed between various people since 2013. And I think I had a presentation in 2017 about it already in the working group. And the question is, are people happy with that as where the various lines of thinking converge, or do we want to do that at all, and so on? Those are questions that I think we need to discuss.
Mhm.
So this is definitely a document that has the need for a good discussion before working group adoption.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking about the times now because yeah, only of the 50 minutes is very short. I think it's shortest we've ever had.
Yep.
But maybe I will let's say Cdl updates. Do you have an idea? Or I know it's hard. It's hard to give an estimate, but
Yeah. The meeting probably is a week too early to discuss the implementation of the ABNF work. So that should be done in early August, but not in late July.
Is the only thing on the on that document just getting some implementation experience? Because I
I
don't
think so.
remember any. I don't remember any issues anymore on it.
So the design looks good, but people need to play with it before we can say this is the way we want to do this.
okay. But we will then draft something. We'll keep the time quite vague for now, and hopefully we can get it more defined before the meeting. Anything else that we want to talk about today? Okay, if there is nothing else, I think we can close the meeting. And
Let me just do the quick advertisement for the ASDF BOF.
go ahead.
So please go to the ASDF BOF on July 28th. And also, I might report that I have submitted a first strawman for Jason Path document that I sent that to dispatch. There has been some good discussion on the CBOR mailing list you have seen, on the JSON mailing list, and on dispatch itself. And the interesting question now is whether we can do this in one of these groups or get sucked up by the HTTP API working group, which will have the charter to do everything that you need to do HTTP APIs, which is a bit much for my point of view, but we need to have that discussion. So that might block the discussion where the JSON path works goes. So my evil plan, of course, is to make JSON path useful for CBOR in general and not just for JSON. But you probably already guessed that.
Yeah, we guessed it. But thank you for the advertisement. Very useful. Okay, then I think we can close the meeting and maybe see you in CFRG. And otherwise, see you in 2 weeks for the virtual meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Bye-bye.